guys, this is Shayna from YumiYarns.com, and we are back with day 3 of our Cuff Down Socks class. So this is a beginner class. If you're just jumping in with us now, you should probably go back and watch the other 2 classes that we've already done where we covered the cast on and the ribbing. I'm doing a 64 stitch sock. The full pattern will be available on YumiYarns.com on January 13, 2021. And that'll be a free pattern, and it's got 12 sizes from babies all the way up through adults, so you can practice your sock knitting. Today we're using Suburban Stitcher Yarn. This is her clean slate colorway, and it's on her sock yarn base. Diane was kind enough to send the yarn to us for the tutorials. So today we are on to class 3, which involves the leg. So the leg is pretty simple. First, for a basic pair of socks like this, it's just knitting around because it's stockinette. So this is our tail from where we cast on, and that's what I'm using to mark where my beginning of round is, because with the flexi flip needles that I'm using, I either have the option of this or this possibly being the beginning of the round when I pick up my project and look at it. And since this is the side with the tail coming out, I know this is my beginning of round. If you are using double points or a magic loop or anything like that, you can do the same thing. But if you're confused or concerned that you're going to forget, definitely just throw a little clipping stitch marker onto the fabric over here so that you know for sure this is your side. So for the leg, like I said, it's really simple. We're just going to knit around in a circle, and so for the knit stitch, in case you don't already know this, which you probably should by the time we've gotten ribbing and everything done, just gonna go in and do our knit stitches. You can kind of pull it a little bit tighter between the joins between your needles, especially if you pull on the second stitch as opposed to the first stitch. A lot of people pull on the first stitch thinking that that's going to cinch it up a lot more. It will, but then when you go to knit the second needle, that can actually pull it loose again, or the second stitch, it can pull it a bit loose again. So if you keep it tight for the first 2 or 3 stitches, that'll help if you're getting ladders between your needles. And what a ladder is sometimes in between your needles, the stitches will spread out, so you'll have kind of what looks like a rung of ladders, or going up between your needles. With the ribbing, it's kind of nice because it sucks in and it's a lot harder to get ladders, but you might run into that while you're knitting the leg of your sock. So I'm just going to keep going around in a circle and tell you some pointers for knitting the leg. In the pattern that I'm going to be giving you, the leg says to knit 7.5 inches or 19 centimeters for the 64 stitch size. You can really be flexible here. This is one of the parts of the sock where you can use as much or as little yarn as you want. If you want them to be more ankle length socks, just do about 1 inch of ribbing or of stockinette before you go into the heel. So you'll have on this size 1 inch of ribbing, and then we'll do at least 1 inch of stockinette. You might be able to get away with 1/2 inch, but 1 inch, even though it seems like you're adding a decent amount on, if you do much less than that, unless you're adding some special techniques in, it's going to slide off your heel, and then it'll just puddle into your shoe, and that'll be terrible. And we don't want people to dislike their hand knit socks. So you want to do at least 1 inch of stockinette, so of leg portion. And if you want to do them longer, you are definitely welcome to do them longer than what's recommended in the pattern. The thing to keep in mind with that, though, the further up you go on your leg, the bigger your calves are going to get. And so there's always the possibility that it will not fit over your calves if you go up too high with just straight stockinette. If you decide you want to do like knee highs or something like that, you're going to want to just do probably a ribbing with more stitches to be able to accommodate your calves, or you're going to want to start adding in some shaping so that your socks will fit around your calves and stay up. There's a lot of options there, but since this is just beginning socks, we're going to stick with the stockinette and the basic sizing. So the pattern is written to give you kind of mid-calf height socks, but like I said, you can adjust as needed for there, and kind of know that wherever you stop on the leg, that's going to be where your heel starts. So when you're looking at your own leg and foot, kind of where your heel starts to jut out from your foot in the back, right about there is where your sock leg will stop. And let's see what else. Oh, with the leg portion, this is usually the part of the pattern where patterning gets introduced. Since we're just doing stockinette for our leg, since it's a basic sock, you don't have to worry about trying to incorporate patterning. If you're joining along with the Indie Sock Along, I've got patterning on all of the socks, but I kept the construction really, really simple. So the construction for all the socks in the Indie Sock Along is exactly what we're doing here. So there's not a lot of unique construction and shaping and stuff going on to throw you off, because I wanted it to be a bunch of patterns where they're very accessible to both advanced and newer sock knitters. Some of them, the patterning will be a bit more intricate and we'll use some interesting stitches, but I've got tutorials for some of those interesting stitches to help you along. But yeah, so the leg portion, if you don't want to do plain stockinette, you can put in whatever other stitch pattern you want. The only thing to keep in mind is some stitch patterns will suction in the yarn and some stitch patterns will let it grow. So like ribbing is very elastic. You can use ribbing, like I said, if you're wanting to avoid adding in shaping, but you still want it to fit around your calf or something like that. So a pattern that includes ribbing is good if you're trying to make more of a stretchy sock. And if you're thinking of adding cables, keep in mind that that tends to suction in the yarn. So where ribbing will let it grow, cables will actually kind of suck it in. So you're probably going to need more stitches than you normally would if you add a cable pattern. Same thing if you decide to add in some lace. Lace works similar to ribbing in that it will let your pattern grow and let the fabric widen out. However, lace is not necessarily going to give you the elasticity like ribbing does, so lace is not necessarily going to hold up your socks if you decide to do that in place of like shaping or something like that. But yeah, so that's kind of just some tips and tricks and what you can expect when knitting sock legs, both for simple patterns and as you delve into some more advanced patterns. If you want to join us for the Indie Sock Along this month, the month of January, it's only $2 to join, and you can sign up for that over at yumiyarns.com. I'll put a link down below. And that is about what I have for you today. Thank you guys so much for coming to class, and I will see you tomorrow where we'll start tackling the heel. Thank you. Have a great day. Bye.